Troy Pfefferle, Fun Factory Sensory Gyms and Playaway Toys, and today I'm here with the love of my life and better half.
Rebecca Dean.
Why do we have different last names?
Because it's
You're
complicated.
professional and I'm not. We are probably the perfect mixed bag of nuts, and this is our first podcast.
It is.
And the reason we're doing this is because of, I believe, 1 million people requesting that with all the knowledge we have and everything we've done, that we should be sharing it because of how honestly we approach everything. We call it for what it is, and it is what it is.
Well, 1 million is an exaggeration, but yes, a lot of people over the past many years, I would say 4 or 5 years, have been saying, why don't every time they meet us or talk to us, say, you guys are such a dynamic couple and so strong-headed and you have so many stories to share that why don't you guys have a reality show with how complex your life is, with how many children do we have now together? 12
12 children and 12 grandchildren.
Right. And
we thought Christmas was going to get cheaper when they grew up and left home. They multiply.
Yeah, and our life, it just gets more and more complex, but that's life.
And it gets funner.
And it's fun, I guess, in whatever shape or form you want to call it. But anyway, it's always interesting. There's never a dull moment. And so here we are. Instead of a reality show, we said, let's go live with our podcast to share our years of experience, our ups and downs, our joys and everything else that goes with life. But most importantly, our knowledge of sensory overload and how our sensory gyms helped us and help many families around the world.
Well, I do want to talk about sensory gyms, but I want people to kind of know that there's not even an agenda in place yet, but so many topics we're going to be hitting down on the way that. And here's the crazy thing. I've traveled the world doing what I do, and I've met millions of people from conferences to parents, but the craziest thing is that it seems that the most foundationally solid people are the moms and dads that have kids with exceptional needs that call in, and they don't pour out their hearts. They're not complaining, where they have so many rights to be complaining, but yet they're so spot on with so many things. So when people say that, wow, you know all this is, I take things from so many valuable conversations and I spin them out in other contexts of life where I think if I'm talking to a parent and I remember a conversation from another parent, I share that experience, and sometimes it bridges the gap between life is unbearable or, oh, I see how I can adjust to that. And it's that constant meter of how can we hit the happiness center.
Yeah, I think the reason why we are able to connect with so many parents like that, Troy, and why so many of those parents call us, randomly text us with stories that they want to share about them and the children and the impact that we're having, either through a conversation or your own personal stories that you have shared, is because we are, in a sense, parents of exceptional children itself, and without any specific title or diagnosis given to them, we've worked them through other mediums that have made them in some shape or form successful adults right now. But I think we've come from over 20 plus years of life experiences in the sensory world, and our life is sensory overloaded, and our children have gone through a lot of sensory processing experiences and challenges, and now they're teenagers, adults. So we bring value to these parents, and these parents connect with us, and we can understand what they're going through, where they're coming from, and through what stories we share, we impact them. And once we install our gyms, they see that impact and they share their stories back with us and keep moving it forward. And that's why I think it's important that we're doing this, because I've heard so many stories from parents just calling me and saying, oh, Troy, he is so amazing. He has inspired us.
Right.
He has inspired us, and they get so inspired and motivated to know that and not lose hope. You know what I've heard time and time again is that you bring them hope. And if through this podcast we can bring hope to families out there, to clinic therapists, in any shape or form, I think we've done our part in some shape. So I'm so excited about this podcast, and we've called it.
I thought it was going to be much harder than this. They came in and cleaned out my office, even I don't know if anybody can see my desk, but there is a valedictorian desk under here that I had the workers screw the top of this one to make it a bigger surface so we could do. But that's just how simple we are. So again,
Wait, wait, wait. We have to say, what are we calling it? This is.
let's call it. See, I wanted to call it something with coffee, like sensory coffee in the morning, but you know what? I associate everything with coffee. Like coffee flavored toothpaste would be an amazing idea. Coffee flavored anything is. I know.
Okay, as
Okay.
a therapist, I think coffee is your sensory input in our overloaded life. So I think the title is appropriate. Sensory overload with Troy and Rebecca. Boom. What do you
See,
think?
yeah. Why do I always know that you're smarter than me by the time you're done talking?
I think that's what we're going to
I
call
don't.
it.
You know what? Yeah. You don't even need me. You just let me come along because you like me.
I'm just your sidekick. But anyway, I think our podcast, our first podcast, should be about us as to who is Mr. Troy Pefferle. To me, you are the most amazing person. I'm so glad I have you in my life after, geez, such complexities and challenges and downfalls. And I feel like you've saved me into this journey of life and whatever life is going to be left. I'm so glad I will be spending with you, hopefully.
Are you flirting with me?
I am. I am.
Oh my goodness.
Always.
Am I blushing? I should be.
Yeah, well, at least blushing will be shown on your skin tone
Okay.
than mine.
Well, I have to tell you, it is funny because you know with what people say about me, and believe me, I am not blowing my horn. I've even done YouTube
No,
videos.
blow your horn.
No, I've done YouTube videos where I literally say and I mean it. I'm probably the dumbest person you will ever meet. But here's where the brilliance comes in. I've made every mistake in the book, and I don't make them twice. I won't let my clinics make them. I won't let my parents make them. Every person that calls this company talks to me before they talk to anybody in sales, anybody anywhere. So when my guys are in a home or school or clinic or hospital working, those people and my workers know that they know the owner. There's no customer service to go through because it has to be that personal. Because what they called me with is so personal and needs to be so beneficial to what their end goal is that I need to make sure that I'm the one okaying the design, the flow, the functionality. If there's one kid, 5 kids, how do I maximize everything that this room is going to do to benefit these kids? But to go back to the very beginning of who is Troy Pefferle, you can't see my phone booth here, can you?
No,
That's a superhero joke. Anyways,
no phone booth.
my
But why did you, like, explain your journey? Because to me, that is a biography to be written in itself and so much to learn from. Not just because, obviously, I'm flirting with you and I love you, but I think there's so much experience to share. So, can you share your journey as to how you ended up founding Fun Factory Sensory Gym? I mean, it was not even called Fun Factory Sensory Gym, but we'll get into that later
Right.
on. But who is Troy Pefferle?
Well, it's in a book already. It's called The Uphill Battle. I can recite it for you. It's early years, chapter 1. There I was. No, I'm kidding. I I had a passion from the very beginning of being into business. Money. It all started out with money. I'm not even going to kid you. I was a national sales director for toy companies, reps all over the country, then all over the world, and I was motivated by money. And one day I'm sitting at my office after I started my own company, which was the indoor swing sets that go in any doorway. And I get a call from the receptionist. She goes, "Troy, there's a woman on the line who I think you need to talk to. She says her son's artistic." I'm like, "Oh, that makes sense. I'm a cartoonist. I'm an artist. I'll talk to her." As soon as I get on the phone, I'm like, "This is Troy." And she's like, "Hi, I have an autistic son." Never heard that word.
What year was it?
1994.
94.
Never heard that word. I had playaway toys.
And
We
you were
were
in
in
Wisconsin,
retail
right?
catalogs. Yeah, it was. We were going to rule the world with this new invention of mine that we patented. And I said, "Oh, that's kind of crazy." I said, "I'm an artist too." Dead silence. I will never forget the sound of her voice. "Do you think that's funny?" I'm like, "What?" What? And that was my first day in my root baptism, into Welcome to Autism 101. But because of that mother, we took, she had bought the support bar for the swing, but she had a net swing that only had a center point, and asked if we could do something so she could open it up and use it in her doorway swing. Well, after being as dumb as I was like, absolutely, send it to me. Well, she sent me this ragtag net swing, which I wouldn't have even gone fishing with or netting minnows. It was just done. So I bought a new net swing from a company in Wisconsin that did hammocks, and it had a very fine material, almost like a silk. And we cut the support bar out of the middle. We put two S hooks on it, sent it back. We were like, that's the perfect apology for being ignorant and not knowing what autism was.
Right.
She, in turn, turned that into a parent network. 600 phone calls within 1 week of parents wanting that same net swing. In my whole life, it's almost like no matter what I do, God puts me on the right track. I can't even make a good mistake.
Oh, I didn't know that. So wait, you created your indoor swing support bar that goes in the doorway, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's an interesting story you shared with me a long time ago. How you got
Do you
into that
remember when you
industry.
found out I was Playaway Toys?
Well, we'll get into that later on. But
Okay.
but you know, so you had that. So you didn't have the net swing, because that's one of my favorite and my most effective swing as a therapist. Which I didn't mention. I am an occupational therapist with about like 20 years of experience. Totally, scooped over that. But to me, the net swing is the most effective. So I can see why that parent shared the story, and 600 more requests came for the net swing, because the impact of that swing is so much. But what was the first swing you created with the indoor support bar?
For the retail line, it was just the strap swing and the trapeze bar. It was called the 3-piece rainy day indoor swing set combo kit.
And that's Playaway Toys, right?
That was Playaway Toys, my first company.
Got it.
From there, after the net swing, it was conference after conference. We were invited to one award after award from foundations and everything else for what we were doing to help these kids and their parents do in-home reinforcement for therapy. And all of a sudden, I became so passionate about what these parents were doing and what they were going through, without getting teary-eyed. I'll tell you, when you meet a dad and you're at his house installing a unit for him because he was just a sensational guy, and he owns a company that he's the CEO of, and he's delivering pizza on the weekend.
Oh, you shared this story with me a long
to,
time ago.
to pay for his son's I watched how these parents dug in, and it made me feel like a lesser parent. And then I got blessed with a child who had an overload of everything and an underload of anything that I thought I wanted in a child. And there was the root of baptism to see what life was like on the other side of the hill. And it has been one stepstone after another, trying to figure out why he had meltdowns, why he was so tactile defensive, why he couldn't have a scene touch his pinky toe in his sock, why I did everything wrong as a parent. And I'm not going to get into my own journey here.
I know, because a lot of parents blame themselves, right?
We do. I would take my son to the police station because he would drag his sister down the stairs because she touched his drumsticks by the hair. I've told you these stories. And when you have him sit in the police station and the police officer literally comes out a half hour after telling him that you're not going to be able to go home if you keep doing this. They're going to put you someplace where little kids... It was that bad.
Right.
And have the police officer come out and tell me, congratulations, your son's the Iceman. He literally is not afraid of me. So...
Well, that's one of your own personal stories, but those are the type of stories that we've, kept hearing over all these years that, we can't wait to share in our podcast, probably bring some of those parents on to share some of their personal stories of their battles at home with trying to not get overwhelmed or sensory loaded themselves, and trying to keep calm and keep it moving forward as a dad, being the head of the household, the impact it has on relationship between husbands and wives. So many stories, so many sad stories where they're not able to survive the journey together if you have a child with special needs, and also the challenges they face with to find the treatment to extreme ends, and spend so much money just trying to have that hope for a change or hope for a chance for a normalized child. It's just very impactful stories that we're hoping we can find some of those parents to come and share, which I know they're very excited to be part of. But can you share that story of was it Mandy or was it Cassie? Your daughter, who you came back from work after your sales director thing, and it was a rainy day outside, and like, how did you come up with that?
Oh no, when I started Playaway,
Yeah.
that was in the winter time. My daughter was looking out the window at the swing set, and she said, "Why can't we bring the swing set inside?" And even at that time, I wasn't thinking the whole system. I was like, "What can I do to actually hang a swing set?" And I created the tension system in a doorway and hung the swing set. I carried 300 pounds of weight. You could still close the door. A lot of people have tried to knock off the system, like Gorilla Gym and other people, but I'm not worried about that. What I'm going to do is continue to do good business and help my families. But I need to go back a little bit to when you said be head of the household. When you have a child with exceptional needs in your home and they can't regulate and they can't release and they can't find center, you're not the head of the household. You barely feel like you fit because you can't even calm down the situation enough to make it pleasant for the other kids who are panicking now, getting excited. So I'm going to back up to this part. When I did finally make the connection and I built my first in-home sensory gym, it changed my world. It made life more, my quality of life literally elevated in my home. I could now send my kids somewhere where it wasn't a punishment. Go to your room, go
Right.
watch TV, go play in the gym.
Right.
Okay. And while they were doing that, they were sending those valuable signals to the brain while they think they're playing. And I never turned it in to a treatment arena. I turned it into a play gym
Right.
where they would go back and forth in the zip line. If your feet touched the ground, you were going to get eaten by the sharks. And if this happened or if that happened, they play. It got to the point that it was like this. Okay, kids, it's time to go to bed. 5 more minutes, Dad. I was like, I accidentally nailed this. This
Right.
is what every home needs, not just the bar for the doorway. They need a system that a child can be as diversified as their needs are, that can get the inputs that they know their bodies need. We can guess, we can read books, we can listen to doctors, but as a parent, we know things that nobody else will ever understand about our kids. And each one of these kids is so individual and so unique.
Right.
I live by it. Every one of these kids has a magic.
Yeah.
We have to cultivate that magic when we find it. Not, okay, he's strong here, so let's cultivate his weaknesses, and now we lose our strength.
Yeah.
I'm not an advocate for the parents as much as I'm
You're
an
an
advocate for the
advocate for the
child.
kids, yeah.
Because I'm a high school dropout for a reason. School, I didn't quit school. School
School
quit
quit
me.
you.
I was ahead on everything. History, we would do history, and I'd go home and read the Encyclopedia Britannica. It's a hunger for truth. My little Isaac in New York, the boy who gets in fights. He gets in fights not because he wants to get in fights, but because he is honestly in the right.
Yeah.
And he can't negotiate with that. Right is right and wrong is wrong.
Right. I mean, I keep telling people too that not everyone gets you. Some of them don't get you, because you do tend to talk a lot. You have a lot of stories to share, and sometimes you do go off on tangent on things that you're passionate about and you want to drive your point, and for the right reason. But not everyone gets it. And I say, listen, he does create these magical full scale. You may not want it, but he plans so much ahead for your family, and he knows the potential of your child, the potential of your growth when he's designing, and the reason why you can take these architectural prints and in the first 5 seconds see what's wrong with it that is not maximizing the space. I've seen you change like 2 or 3 things and then maximizes the space in such a functional way. It's crazy. And I always tell people, I'm like, he's a little bit of a special needs adult, and I truly.
And I don't have a problem with that.
But you know what? I mean, truly, from working again, like as a therapist in this sensory world, that's my forte. I mean, like that's my main niche that I focus on, because my own oldest daughter had sensory processing, and I'll
Karina.
get it. Karina, yeah.
Are we supposed to mention names?
I don't
I
know.
can't say
I don't
Cassie,
even.
Amy,
I
Mandy,
don't. I,
Chase, and Sammy. I can't say it. Okay.
I don't know what the rules of podcasts are. We actually did not script
Okay.
this whole thing, nor
Okay.
did we do any research. We just said, let's do it, and we're going to it. So,
Yeah, I said if we were going to do the podcast, I wasn't changing shirts, I wasn't changing hats, I wasn't changing my attitude, my
right.
mindset. I'll do this,
But,
and I'll give you all my honest input, export, everything as
yeah.
to how I've seen it, what I've seen, where the industries are going, what parents are doing, what parents should be doing. And the beauty of it is that this is only the beginning. Autism is what we have been in our whole lives, but there's so many more other topics
We will be
I'm
covering
dying to
about
hit
life. We'll
on.
be covering about, not just that, the business, the family, the impact of life, the stories. But I wanted to share, my quick story. I mean, as an occupational therapist, I had a little clinic, probably like 500 square foot when I started with an OTPT clinic. And I had gone for some sort of conference, I think in New York, and there was some sort of sign up list that I had put my name in. Anyway, I was in the hub of like four other already established clinics around me. Um, but my daughter, like I said, oldest one had sensory processing, so I went into this facility, got rented a small space so that she could be in a school right across from me, and so I could spend time with her and also have her, do therapy and all that stuff. Anyway, I put my name on it, and I must have got a marketing call for, I guess it was Clinic Pros back then.
Oh, I remember. Yep.
Clinic Pros back then, and I was like, what can make me as a therapy business stand out and still have more impact and get more referrals? And so I'm like, let me look into Sensory Gym. And there I called you. You gave me the spiel. I'm like, this is really going to
It's
help.
not a spiel.
Whatever the sales spiel is, it sounded good, and I was like, that I really love the concept of outdoor gym, no, outdoor playground in an indoor setting, because now I can teach these children all the skills that they need and have them transition into the community. To me, that was my main goal. How can I make my children who are coming into my clinic one-on-one and show them, have them learn skills that they can go back and function and be part of the norm, right?
Right.
So that was my goal, and to also stand out as a small clinic. And so here you come, you build me the sensory gym in my 500 square foot, and everything you told me. First, I did not believe that you were actually a professional, because you walk in with your kids and you were on your way to a vacation, not even sure if you wanted to do a small
We
clinic.
didn't even know how a girl in New Jersey got a promo from a New York conference.
Right. And then you walk in with your hat and everything else. Anyway, long story short, you started talking about your experience, and I was like, oh, I remember saying, are you a therapist? And you said, or something in the medical
You
field.
asked me if I was a doctor.
Whatever, doctor or not. But everything you told me, Rebecca, if you put this in, the impact you'll have on the child, you'll grow your business. It happened in about 3 months of after the gym was put. I saw the changes in my kids. My kids were happier coming. Not that they were not happy, but the skills that I was working on and my therapists were working on with those children, I could see the development so much faster, the skill retention so much faster. The parents, I invited the parents to come in, and they were just blown away. Now the children could not wait to come into the gym.
You were one of the first clinics that actually started referring in-home installs for
Correct.
kids that needed more.
Yes.
And
My
that's
really
where not
severe
to
autistic
not to
children.
break your story up, but you once I got to meet these parents, you were like the catalyst or the resin that made me see things from the other side of just big clinic money. That's where I was still at until I met you.
Well, to
And
me,
then
it was
you
not
put me
about
in
the
the
money. It
parent
was more about
community.
the impact. And to me, these families who are struggling at home, where the siblings are not connecting, and there's just not enough time between the parents going from one place to another place to another place to another place, from therapy after therapy after therapy, not having that time to dedicate to another sibling. To me, that was so important. It starts from home.
Right.
Having something that you can transition to the community, but also create a space where siblings and families can bond was so important. So yes, I was such an advocate for investing your money into a sensory gym at home. But I invested into my own home too. If you remember, I
Yeah.
had a sensory gym built for my own daughters, and I saw the impact. Every morning, I had it built right outside the room. had every morning they would come up, they would go on the sensory gym, brush it. They were organized and regulated to start their school day. They couldn't wait to come back from school, get on the gym again, and then do their schoolwork because it organized them and they could focus. And I saw the development in my own children. Everything that I was working on, I mean, I'm not saying therapy doesn't work. It works, but the reinforcement at home daily, accessible, without restrictions, without being told do this, do that next time, is so important because they start learning skills that sometimes as a therapist
Aren't
you cannot
dictated
teach.
to them.
Correct.
They
And
start
my
self
children,
piloting, and I did
Yeah.
that. I can do this. I can do this.
Correct.
Again, I don't call
my
them
own
transition. I call them
children's
stepping stones.
development, motor skills, focus, everything, fine motor skills, their handwriting, their reading skills, all of them scaled. So guess what? I was sold. I was a believer and I was an advocate for these sensory gyms at home because of my own personal experience.
And then we actually did 3 more year gyms, and you put us into a school district, which brought kids all around the district that had gone out
Right.
back into that because the school district now. So your business mindset was
Well,
very good, and I want to.
My business grew because of the sensory gym. So, you know, I was
Right.
a small clinic trying to compete with 4 others. And because of the sensory gym,
Those
I
therapists
started.
came and worked for you.
Correct.
Yeah.
There were so many therapists wanting to come to this innovative sensory gym. Even though I was competing against a hospital, more parents through parent
Yeah.
referrals started coming. I grew into 3 clinics and then started servicing school districts. And I saw that these schools just did not have the equipment needed, you know, for what these children needed. And so we started. I asked you if we could donate, or you know, I kind of personally invested into the school districts for those children.
And
because
that's one of the things that really attracted me to you as a person, because I've never yet to see one other person in specific.
Hey, no other person. What do you mean, one other person?
Okay. You took your own personal money because you seen
I believed in
what this could do
Yeah.
in the school level and
Yeah.
help your therapist.
For the little ones.
Instead
because
of just sitting at a tabletop where kids did not want to come into this room and do more tabletop, you offered them an experience.
Yeah, instead of the traditional.
Every visit into that room was an adventure.
It was. They couldn't wait. So then they went from like just one-on-one therapy. We developed programs into where all the classes could do a round, and that could be like their recess time. But now it was snowing outside, it was raining outside. Guess what? They could come and release their energy and get regulated to go back into class. It was such oh my God, the impact it had in that school district. I was so blessed to know you and have this thing. And then years later, oh my goodness, we're still together and we have kids. And now we're going to do this podcast to share about a lot of stuff. I mean, we can go on and on and on about so many things, but I wanted to make sure that we have a good intro of our podcast of what to look forward to, right?
Yeah. You know, it's funny too. I know we're getting signaled that this is this the end of it? Oh, okay. Well, we could go on and
Hi,
on and on
camera
for
guy.
hours, but I have to, for every parent out there, every therapist, every teacher, you know, God bless you guys. God,
Yes.
without you, these kids have no chance of being anything except a tax burden on society. You are their one chance to become a functional part of society. And I'm willing to gamble on that to the very end. But to my ending comment, do I get an ending comment? Okay. Here's
so
what I'd like to
unscripted.
say.
Unscripted.
We're not being the smartest guy in the world. Let me tell you how much I steal from kids. One time, and this was in Oklahoma of all places, I asked a little boy. We delivered some attachments to his mom. I said, "What's the thing you like most about your indoor swing set?" He's the one I use the phrase all the time. There's no night times, there's no rainy days, and there's no mosquitoes.
Oh,
I was like, oh my God, I'm using that forever. It's like where my company got its name, Fun Factory. I told you that story, right?
yes.
Just so you know before we go, so they know where our next one starts out at. In my school, I'm a high school dropout, but I was smart enough to buy the school that I dropped out of.
Oh, I love that story. We have to share at
That's
some
another
point down
story.
the line.
They
so many
had
good
a
stories.
they had a birthday party at my school, and this group was just playing crazy. And my brother Herb was in the lathing department. They were doing like this little tour, and this little kid, he was just sharp as a whip. I could watch him. He was kind of like leading everybody. Just had this extra energy. And he's talking to my brother, and my brother points down to me, and he comes up, doesn't even come up to me. He gets about 15 feet away, and I don't know if he did it on purpose or not. He goes, "Hey, mister."
Oh, I love that
I'm like,
story.
"Hey, mister." I'm like, "Yeah, me?" He goes, "Yeah, you." I said, "What can I help you with?" He goes, "Is this your company?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "You should call it Fun Factory because this is a fun factory." I was like, "Okay, I'll think about that." And I'm going to turn around and walk back into the gym where I had things going on. And he goes, "Hey, mister." I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Think about it." I'm like, "Oh
I
my
love
God, this
kids.
kid's... And that's my company's name. I
Fun
stole it from a
factory.
kid. Oh my gosh. Do I have any of my own ideas? I don't know. I don't care. But anyways, I'm
Well,
looking forward to our next podcast and building, building, building. Eventually, my goal is to organically and naturally and honestly and godly and faithfully create a hub of communications for all kinds of people to come to. I can't wait to have people on live. I hope we get them. I hope we get podcasts to where I don't have to say a word, but I can sit and absorb more great stories that I can spin out like they're my own in the future. Talk to you guys later.
well, you know what? I was really hoping to phase out with saying that you have been a symbol of strength for me and hope for me. I mean, the last 2 years have been crazy, crazy, with challenges, and 2020 is just crazy for the world with challenges. And I think with the hope and light that you have been, we can be together, hope and light for the rest of the community, whoever's going to listen to us. And I can't wait to see what our next podcast is. And as for having people over, there's all the when we talked about this podcast, they have already approached us from clinic owners and parents who are waiting to just have them talk to us. So
And I don't want the
um,
podcast just to be about clinics and kids with
no,
exceptional
this
needs. There's
they're
so
just
much more that
honest
we can
stories.
share.
Yeah.
And you know what? Just to be that voice of hope and the balance in life where things are at the craziest they've ever been. I could never imagine telling the story of what we've just gone through with COVID and these riots and our company and where we've
With
been.
everything that we're personally dealing with and keeping our sanity. I don't even know if we're allowed to share that, but hopefully we can. I'm
Yeah.
not sure, but
Is there rules
listen,
and regulations that I there
there
is?
are okay. Well,
Almost called it an iPad podcast.
the podcast.
Okay. I don't want anything edited out on
Listen,
my podcast. My guy's shaking
yeah.
his head. I don't know.
Okay, again, we said it's unscripted, and can we show you on the camera down the line? No? All right. Well, listen, cheers to
Cheers.
our first podcast. Hopefully it was some interesting, but this is
This
our
is how different we are. I'm always Christmas, and she's always a beach. Today, what beach are you?
Virginia.
Virginia. She's either San Diego, Daytona. Oh my God, beaches you've never heard of. Hilton Head.
You know what? What's funny?
You're
I'm
gonna
not
get a
beach
cup that says
person.
"Life is a Beach," right?
Yeah, but I'm not a beach person. I only entertain beach because I know you love the beach and you can just swim in the ocean
Right.
for hours while I just say, hey, you know what? Go ahead. I'll just take pictures and
I
enjoy
know.
my drinks and take care of the kids.
I know this is how politically incorrect I am all the time. I'm always Christmas.
It's
Now my
Christmas
Jewish friends,
every
now my Jewish
day.
friends are mad at me. So
All right,
happy
so
Hanukkah, Merry Christmas. Can't wait to talk to you guys again.